All right, so here's the trading recap for the week of January 15th, February 15th to February 19th, 2021. It's a little bit late getting this video out here, but well, here it is. I'm just going to quickly go through the trades I took this week. It was kind of a choppy week again. I expected a big down week, but it ended up being really just a slightly down week. And a lot of these trades that I took, a lot of the short positions, started out good, but then they rebounded pretty strongly towards the end of the week. So I ended up exiting a lot of them, and you'll see that here in a bit. So first trade, analog devices. You can see I entered short on 216. This was like basically right at the breakdown of this long-term, well, I guess this little trend line. You can see longer term it's still an uptrend, but it sort of broke out, and it looks like it's starting to break out of the breakout. There's a little breakdown, back test, another little breakdown, and well, it really just didn't continue the breakdown. You can see a little bit of downside and then a rebound, and I decided to stop out for just about break even rather than taking a loss. And I probably could have re-entered this position on the 19th, but I really just wasn't paying attention to it because it is a good entry point at the end of the 19th. I think I was out of capital to re-enter anything short as well. So the next one is Autodesk. This one, I guess I closed, and I tried to do a short on it twice. The first one, I think I got stopped out from a position I entered on February 9th. You can see it had a little breakdown, but I guess I didn't take any profits because I held it all the way through to the 16th when it stopped me out. So yeah, I figured, breakdown, back test, back test and recovery of trend, and then another breakdown. This had to produce a new lower low, but no, that's not what happened. It just, went down a little bit and then basically tried to do another, break back into trend, failed, but stopping me out. I re-entered on the 16th, basically. I wonder if I got re-entered. Yeah, no, I re-entered on the 16th, the same day I got stopped out. But I exited the position on the 17th. Why did I do that for 299? I'm not really sure why I exited on the 17th. But you can see if I held it, it would just still be kind of chopping around in this range. So it's really not ready to break down just yet. Or maybe it's ready to break down, but it's not breaking down yet. And really my goal for this trade, I think, was to see a breakdown to right about here. But, most of these short positions just aren't working out. So I'm sort of being a lot more likely to exit the trade early if I see a reversal, because I don't want to take a loss on these trades and get stopped out. So let me move along. So this allo trade, I decided to re-enter here right about, I think right about here, 34.70 on the 17th. And this is because it looks like it is bull flagging for a breakout continuation. You see the main flag here, a small breakout, takes a pause at resistance and consolidates, and it looks like there's a second breakout. This is either a small cup and handle or little bull flag and another breakout. That's what I see here. So I took this position long, basically to finish this trade that I stepped out of early. Uh, you know, I guess really it would have been a couple of weeks ago, almost a month ago. So this next one, cold. This is looking like a long bull flag consolidation pattern. It broke out on Friday, and it didn't break out impulsively, which is why I don't like this trade very much. But I entered the trade at a low kind of risk area, right about at this 36.40 level, I think. Yeah, 36.46. So I got a good entry. So if it is a false breakdown, at least breakout, my loss should be a little better. And so we're just going to have to see on this one. Yeah, I think this is probably likely to be a false breakout, but we'll just wait and see. If it is not a false breakout, then you can see our sort of risk to reward has kind of moved to 6.7 to 1, which is something I like. I'm willing to take the risk of a false breakout for that risk to reward. It's not ideal. I think I should have probably either closed this position at the end of the day for a small profit, or just because like at the end of the day the volume was not very high, or waited for a breakout and back test, because it's likely that for something that consolidated this long there will be a back test. So the next one is Corsair, and you can see I entered, I think, this trade on the 16th, right when it back test, closed at this support line basically, and it looked to me like this was a breakout and back test, but you can see that it broke below there, stopped me out of the trade, and I re-entered the next day. No, I re-entered the same day I got stopped out. I guess I just barely got stopped out, then re-entered on the 17th. That's what happened. Yeah. So it looked good still on the 17th. The 18th it didn't still look good. You know, it was back below the support line for sure. So I'm out of this trade for now. I want to capture this breakout once it happens. I think it is a stock that a lot of people are bullish on. It's just a question of when that breakout will occur. I'm not sure why this is highlighted, because I'm still in this trade. Okay. Same with this one. All right. So JHG, I entered this one for the first time on January 28th, and you can see it was 32.69. So it was close to a back test. Maybe I got in the day before, or a couple days before. I'm not, yeah, maybe I got in a couple days before and I have this miswritten. But anyways, I got in for the 32.69 price, and got out on the 17th for 29.25 roughly. And so that was, I guess, a good trade, expecting some sort of bounce right here. Now, the next day, it looked like it was breaking down below this sort of trend line it formed, this downward trend line. And so I re-entered short, thinking it was breaking down even further. But, you know, the next day, it popped up again, and so I decided to just exit the trade and leave it there for now. Um, I'm not sure if I will re-enter this trade until it consolidates some more and looks weak again, or maybe this will turn into a bull flag, and this thing will, launch higher, maybe do a back test. In which case, that would be a good setup for a long trade. LI. Now this is a trade I took because it looked like the EV stocks were breaking down. Tesla was kind of below its support. I can actually show you. Well, the way I had it drawn, I think it was drawn like this basically before. Maybe something like that. One of these two. And so Tesla, by this view of the trend, or I guess flag, it looked like Tesla broke down below trend. If you look, something like this, then yeah, Tesla's still above. That's a little bit of a different pattern. But basically, given the other view of Tesla, this LI was looking like a good short entrance if the electric vehicles are having a correction, because you've got this basically consolidation since November, and usually this could either be very bullish or very bearish depending on which side it breaks. It broke to the downside, so I took the short trade, and it kind of turned into a nothing trade. I wonder, I may re-enter this trade if it does back test and the electric vehicles continue to look weak. But I think we're just going to have to see how they look coming into the next week or two. LTHM. This one's one I guess I entered on the 25th. Got a good entry on the 25th. I took some profit on the 28th, which was good. It was the first level of support that I expected. Probably, well, what I'm finding is like the bottom of this, but the bottom of these sort of areas, these channels, like if you call this a channel where maybe this is the top and this is the bottom. Well, the bottom of these channels generally tend to be a little bit more of a target where prices, hit if they're going to the downside. That's something I've noticed. So I could have taken a little bit of better profit target, but I was, just wanted to take my money. And you can see this kind of went in the other direction. And when did I leave the position? I guess right here, when it was pretty close to my stop area, and you can see it turned around, reversed. But the reason I exited here was because I guess I should have maybe waited one more day, because it was very close to that top and likely bounce area. So yeah, I don't like my decision to exit the trade here. I mean, it was literally the top. I could have waited a couple more days and exited here, or this looks more like it's probably going to be a consolidation than a move, long-term move to the downside. So it's probably good that I'm out of this trade for now. But we'll just have to see if the whole market turns down. That will change. Macy's. This one is something I'm still trying to trade, still thinking it's got downside potential. But you can see basically these trades turned into nothing. I was basically net red on this trade. You can see I entered on the 4th. Got a decent entry, and then the 17th I exited, so that would have been right here, right at the bottom here. Why did I exit there? Mostly because it looked like this was going nowhere. And yeah, this looks like it's maybe just another consolidation pattern. It only went down to here, which is like the very first level of support you would expect, and then it's basically just bounced, and I think it's going to continue to move within that channel for a while, and we'll see what happens after that. MGY, this is one I entered short on the 18th, and well, you can see there's a bit of an uptrend. Maybe it's a little overheated. It moved in just a couple months 130, 140% negative divergence on the daily. Looked all set up, broke down, did a back test, and so I entered the trade here, exited the trade the next day. I'm really not sure why I exited the trade the next day, or why I even entered here, to be honest. I think it was because it was a big red day, and this was one of the stocks that looked weak and was on my watch list for a short trade. So even though it wasn't a good entry, I figured I could take this trade and capture the downside momentum. So it was really a bias trade, which in the end ended up shooting myself in the foot by not following my rules. Now, if I had waited for it to do a back test, it's very likely the same outcome would have happened, but you know, I'd rather follow my rules and lose than not. Okay, net. This is one that on the 11th I took a position, and it doesn't look like it's closed below support on the daily, but if you go to the hourly, you can see that in fact it did close just below support, and so this was a good entry for a short position, and you can see it had a good amount of downside. I closed out of this on the 17th though, when it rebounded pretty strongly. I think it rebounded and maybe came back, and that's when I exited. So not a great exit, but what price did I exit at? I exited at 84.41 on the 11th, or sorry, on the 17th. So right about here. So I could have exited at any time here. Probably, I think what I did was I waited till it broke down out of this, what appears to be a downtrend that was forming, and it broke out, so it was like a good place for me to exit, at least in the short term. And you can see this is likely going to consolidate, maybe build up a bear flag, and then move lower. So I may look for an opportunity to get in short again. But you can see this already kind of breaking down, so we'll see if it does a back test of what I'm really not sure on this one what it's going to continue to do. I'll probably just watch it. So yeah, PLTR. Now this is one I am taking a bullish trade on. You can see that it had previously done some consolidation, a breakout, and a little more, kind of almost formed a double top, and then broke down. And I bought in right here at the pretty good support level. And you can see there was just a ton of buying that was coming in here. So a bunch, basically the selling got overwhelmed by the buying. So a really high volume day, looked like a pretty good bottoming candle. And So I went long here. The next day I added to my position. It was supposed to just be a add. I accidentally sold some of it. And then so I had to basically add back the shares I sold. Royal Gold. This is one I was long on, and really I chose to close part of this position, not because it looked like it was not going to work out, but because I wanted to move some of the capital in this position over to a sort of what I thought was a higher risk, higher reward trade, or similar risk, higher reward trade. And that's not shown here. I can go over it quickly. Basically, I took another call option, I think, on AG because long term I'm super bullish on this one. And so it's not a trade that's recorded here because it's, I'm not recording call trades here. So that's one where if it works out, that's not going to play for or against the sort of experiment I have going on here, which is testing my main trading strategy. That kind of bends the rules a little bit by going into a call option. But anyways, going back to these trades, Sandstorm. Okay, so a bunch of these somehow didn't get unhighlighted. That was a trade from a couple weeks ago. That was from a couple weeks ago. Okay, so STMP, those are trades I took this week, and you can see similar to PLTR, this has been channeling in this range, and you can see it moved to the top of the channel and it just got slammed down. So some news slammed it down or something, and basically I decided to take a position here because it looked, it was almost a bottoming candle the previous day, and then this day I would say it's likely that it's a bottoming candle. If it breaks through this support, it's I think likely to recover, just because it's pretty good level of support. It's got a lot of reaction points and a lot of volume around it. So I'm expecting it to go up to towards the top of the channel. Upwork. This is one, well, you can see I got a good initial position. Got in at what looks like this blow off top, although I'm a little bit nervous because the volume was not very high on this top, meaning this wasn't any sort of short squeeze that makes it more likely to come plummeting down. It could, continue this blow up top for some time. But I did see a good sell opportunity on, I guess, the 17th. A kind of low risk trade. If you go to the hourly chart, this is more obvious why it is. Basically a breakdown on the hourly chart. And it plummeted and then it rebounded. So I think I got 54.63 was my exit point. So basically at the very top on the 19th, that's when I exited the trade. So we'll see how much more upside this has. I just don't trust this after basically rebounding on 1 or 2 days. I guess this is 3 days of support, but I don't like that it rebounded there. I would have liked to see a little bit more downside if this stock is actually looking weak for a short trade, especially considering how overextended it is. You can see it's pretty much done nothing but go up in the last 5 months or so. Well, I mean really since March, but at least add a more controlled upward trend back here. Xilinx, this one I was bullish on. you can see, well, why did I take the long trade? I took the long trade because this was the trend I was basing it off of. I probably shouldn't have taken this trade because unless you look at it like maybe this is what I was seeing was, 3 reaction points like this and then a breakout. So I took the trade, lost on it, and I think I said last week that this was a high enough risk to reward that I was willing to risk losing it, and you can see I did lose it. So realistically, this looks like this might be more like the trend line, but I think it's got a little more consolidation to do before it breaks out. Although it may just, I think if it comes down, fails to go all the way to the bottom of the trend line, it's likely to break out. Zillow Group. This was just another trade that I think I took this trade on the 16th, so I got what looked like a good top, although it didn't have a super high volume. It had a high volume a couple days before. So I sort of just made a little bit of a gamble that this was the top, and you can see it went in my direction a bit and then went against me, and that's when I stopped out. I think this is likely to continue down. I didn't stop out, I just exited the trade. Because again, this goes down for a few days and then comes up. I don't think this is... I don't think I needed to exit this trade when I did. I don't really see a good reason. I think maybe, well, probably right here is when I exited, because I exited right at the top here. So I probably saw it, gap up, make basically a recovery. This trend, I'm not sure what that is, but it popped up overnight and I didn't like that, so I exited. I don't think it was necessary to exit just yet, though. I think this has more downside, at least to this trend line. I guess I was figuring I wanted to take profits where I could because I was a lot less certain that the market was going to make a big downturn after this week. But you can see it's probably likely to come down to this $173 area, and so I essentially took half of my potential profits before a likely, sizable bounce, before there's a chance I would have to exit the trade. So I don't like that exit that I made, but it is what it is. Last one is Zoom. This one is a trade I have been in since here, only one share long, but I decided to basically exit the trade on the 18th when this thing made a big downturn. Yeah, I added a share and then I removed a share. What I do know is that the net position right now is 2 shares long. I added them around this range here. So we'll see if it goes down much. I will probably stop out of the 1 share and hold the other share long, because I'm looking for this to move at least up to here to this $573 level. So it's still a good risk to reward trade, adding a share there, but we'll just have to see how it plays out. So that's really it for the trades I took for this week. A little bit more messy this week. Basically, because of so many trades have been failing that have been short, I was really twitchy when it came to playing these trades short. Generally, the risk to reward is lower when you go short, and right now it's lower probability of a short trade playing out because this market is still a raging bull market. Until we get a sizable correction, I expect more upside to this market, or the favor to be in long trades. Now when that correction does come, I would say I better stop out of my long trades pretty quick if it's a significant correction, or step out of those long trades before I stop out, one of the two. But I think that generally there's less risk being in a long trade, that has a lot of upside momentum, because when the market does reverse, that upside momentum, it could still be there. And so the downside momentum could be basically countered a little bit by the upside momentum and give you a little more time to get out of a stock. Whereas buying the dip on a stock that's looking really weak, while it could just gap down. Okay, so what I'm doing here is looking at the P&L for the week. And you can see it was a $69 net loss. And that, despite the number of trades where I took a little bit of profit on, I took bigger losses on the trades I took losses on. So not too happy about that. You can see we're basically 3 weeks in a row we're sliding backwards. So we'll just have to see how things go going forward. I'm a little bit disappointed in the progress that is being made. But I can't really say there was anything hugely wrong I did this week, because I guess there was a few short positions that I could have stayed in a little longer, but the market is still in an uptrend. I missed the sort of high risk to reward trade on Xilinx and Corsair, and so basically those were two trades that could have been big ones that I pretty much completely missed out on. And I basically missed out on most of my short trades as well. I was happy to just exit the trades without losses in general. So we're going to see what comes next week. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you later.